do the intro whenever.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So welcome everyone. In today's design lecture, I'm delighted to... Okay, now. Now, perfect. So welcome everyone. In today's design lecture, I'm delighted to introduce our esteemed speaker, Marion Real. Marion is a distinguished systemic design researcher with a focus on co-creation processes in the territorial transformation toward circular economies and cosmopolitan localism. Marion's work at Fab Lab Barcelona exemplifies her commitment to sustainable design and innovation, and she operates at the intersection of productive cities and material and textiles research, contributing to various pioneering projects. Some of these initiatives that she has been involved in include Cisco, Remix El Barrio, Score, She Makes, and Reservist. Each of these projects is a testament of her dedication to circular design and her drive to push the boundaries of what's possible in this field. Today's session promises to be enlightening as Marion will share inspiring practices and discusses the results of her recent projects. Following this, we will have an interactive segment where students will have the opportunity to test various tools that could be beneficial in their own contexts. So we look forward to this engaging discussion, and please join us in welcoming Marion. Over to you, Marion.
Thanks, Josefina, and hi, everybody. So I'm happy to be here and to share some insight about the research we are doing in the Fab Lab Barcelona, in general in the textile labs community. If it's okay, I will try to share my screen. So today I decided that it will be all on Miro. So all the content is on Miro, and I will first let you you can come on the Miro board already, or you can follow the screen and the video. I will go on a journey into the different projects I have been involved and that can serve as inspiration related to the practice and the topic we are talking about today. And according to how goes the discussion and the time, we can test some tools that can be relevant for your project. So happy to be also at that stage. So yeah, today, the idea, as Josefina introduced, is to do like a journey into circular design research practice, trying to focus much more on what is happening in textile and fashion. So it's about getting to know this intersection between circular design and textile. In the different intervention, you will see also that this notion of local, what is local, what has to be local, what might not be possible to be local in the current and future transformation we talk about, especially in the Fab City initiative, will be questioned, and there is some community responding to those challenges. Reflecting also on community building and co-design intervention will be important, and you will see that is a grounded research approach, actual research project. So it's all about also engaging stakeholders to transform, to transition, to try to create some changes and understand what could be more beneficial for, especially for the planet and for people. So the focus is really on what is and what could be circular textile value chain. So we talk about textile and fashion. So I will just zoom a bit to give some element of context. I will not go super long on what is a textile, what is the garments, what is the current sector of fashion. I think this we can discuss in another context, but it's still maybe to just initiate and to zoom in textile and fashion is always nice to look at what we wear, what are the textile and the garment that surround our own environment, and ask us what what they are now, which material, where does it come from, how long I have been using it, what kind of affection, emotion I have to my garment. And once I have imagined a bit this more individual feeling about my garments, my textile, maybe zooming out and already saying, okay, what are the big problems in the textile and fashion industry right now? And we will not go too much in detail, but we know that this mass consumption, that there is so many the inequality that emerge from the current practice. All the system is quite distributed, but also it has been it is, when you look at the global value chain of the textile, we always imagine this big factory, people that have problem for labor practice that are not fair. So yeah, we can emerge and see, the more we enter in the textile fashion, we think about this event in Bangladesh that like changed a lot the mentality in the textile and fashion sector some years ago. Yeah, so but from this like introduction and this like what we have been identifying, there is a lot of project and a lot of things happening to try to transform it. It's still a lot of stakeholder, or still a lot of garments everywhere, and globally it's not reducing. So there is really a big gap to really think that this sector can be sustainable at one moment. Yeah, so here I put some different documents. There is at well, more at European level, there is a plan to support the industry and the stakeholder to go on transition pathway, what they call, with different objectives, especially regarding all the eco design law that is happening and that will be a reality soon. And then I put the two reports that now are a bit like old documents, but still was the first really good data that we could find on the reality of the textile sector, and also the change that we might need to do, and what type of design principle we can also adopt to change the system. So there is one is about a new textile economy. It's the Foundation Ellen MacArthur who create that. With this, among the report, there is this diagram. What we see that, for instance, for their case, what they claim to be the main action to take and to move to our nervous system is to phase out the substance of concern and microfiber release, so what there is in our garment that can pollute, increase clothing utilization, so having more care about what we wear and stop throwing away when the first, like this mindset, radically improve recycling, and inside that there is also all this possibility to reuse, upcycling, recycling, and then of course recycling more at industrial scale when it's needed, and then make effective use of resource and move to renewable inputs. So here it's also to distinguish also what might be bio-based material and textile, and the one that are like non-bio-based materials. So this is a first report that I share here. And the second one in sustainability and circular in textile value chain give also nice element to reflect on the current motivation and possibility on this. The last link is more like looking at the activist side, and there is this movement, fashion revolution, that emerged also more than 10 years ago. We've decided to value what people do and the people that are doing. and create a lot of materials that, including a transparency index, so to share the current practice of the textile and fashion industry, and including this kind of MIDI book that can get infography and many different data stories that can be shared, and quite interesting to disseminate the knowledge on the sector. So this is a bit the context of textile and fashion. I would like to, and what the project we will explain now are working on is to really go on the system design and like how working with design and system design can support the transition toward textile and fashion. And just to remind, I know that from the MDDI community, now there is already a lot of information that has been shared about design, innovation, and also all this transformation that can happen at multi-layer. So I come with something super easy on when we talk about circular economy and system. So if we want to be sustainable and build a circular economy, we will have to understand systems. So this is okay. So the objective of system thinking is to look at something and to try to well to do, as they say here, deep sea mining. So look at what is inside. You will see some different components. Maybe you will see some links between the different components, as if you do a puzzle at the beginning. But then you go and you continue to look at over dimension, and you will see that each element, each component, and the system will depend on many other dimension. It has different impacts. It is evolving with, it comes with different inputs, it provokes different outputs, and together, yeah, it's quite a, sometimes it's quite a complex system, and with different interaction, many people involved. And so I like this infographic because it's a bit this impression when we start with system thinking, we say, whoa, okay, okay, it's complex, but what I do now, no? And how can I really can be part of the change now? I understand that it's a bit a bit too complex. So I like this fact that also, okay, system thinking is a bit complex, but then when we know that, it's also spreading super fast, and we can talk with different people and find solution together and identify the real issue, the real challenge, and try to interfere on that in a different way. Saying that, there is many disciplines that in research that have tackled different processes of system transformation. So we have been looking at some different paper, and when we talk about system thinking and sustainability transition, there is one that is really a great reference, is the one from Sechin and Gazulosai that talk about design for sustainability for the DFS evolutionary framework. And here you can see that, in fact, there is of course differences in the discipline, but when we talk about system-oriented design, systemic design, product service design, advanced design, design for sustainability transition design, we can also see that in all this process there is common elements, and that it's important also to look at this similarity. And so one thing is that it's about looking at the territorial enhancements, and then it fosters different activity action. First would be, we can talk about what is important when we talk about system design. Will be to build multi-stakeholder network. So this dimension of looking at who is involved in the system, what is the role, how they interact within each other, and not only how it is happening, but how I can build this kind of network, how can I contribute to the network, and having this mindset to have. It's also about sharing foresight vision. So of course it's about also looking at what is the future we want together, and what are the different possibility of future, and from that starting back and defining some action, but also sharing the narrative that we want for the future. It's about establishing learning process. Everyone has, of course, heterogeneous knowledge. It is important that people care about learning, and that can also reduce the gap of knowledge between different expertise. And then the last one is enhancing niche action. So this niche action, it was what we call a bit this new initiative that might grow or might take a bigger part in the system. And when we talk about circular initiative or local initiative, we imagine all this kind of practice that for instance, upcycling center, or there was also this repair shop. There is much more niche innovation that could be at the fiber level, at the recycling process level. But the fact is that when we talk also about system design, one part, it's about trying to bring together people, so to enhance and to give space so the niche innovation can express. So saying that, this is a bit complex, but it's framing well the role a bit of system design in the current transformation and the attitude that we can have as designer. And just this one on the right is to, especially when we talk about specific sector like textile, it's important to remind that there is different scale, different scope of design intervention, and different way to frame the design problem. So when we look at the textile, we can take the example of a garment. It's super important, of course, all the knowledge that will refer to the fiber, the origin of the fiber, the quality of the fiber, how it can be assembled differently, all this knowledge that is really on the material ground. Then the product level is the one that we have been always talking the most in those sector, and it's quite a reference for all the processes. And then there is the more the system that we have, like product service system, spatial social system, and socio-technical system. So it become like more complex system and with different angles. So for the service, of course, it will be okay. Don't look only at the product, but all the different service that is generated by the development of the product. If we talk in the circular system, also we talk a lot about repair services, maintenance, and this is new model that emerge in the sector. And then if we go at social technical level, it will be also to explore this trajectory that we want at the sector level or at the territorial level for the spatio-social. It can be also too interesting when we talk about textile to look at the role of textile in a specific region, in a specific territory. It won't be the same in the different territory, and it can also change over time. So this is the focus that is done in this scale. Yes, so this, and just to conclude this part, I put here like the four main resources that for me are super important if you are interested in knowing more about this topic. The first one is from Sven Gunnar Krod. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing well, but it's a thesis that has been done and explaining this link between systemic design and sustainability transition. So not related to textile, but really framing well this gap, or sometimes it's super complex to look at this literature, and in this case is being really done in a great way. There is a super recent thesis I had the chance to review like last month, which is about systemic design for circular and local textile, designing a hemp ecosystem. So here it's Eliana Ferruli, she's Italian and working at the CIS lab in Torino. And the CISLab in Torino, they have a specific approach on systemic design. And in their case, she applied to compare different regions that have a background in textile. The first one is Prato, which is in Italy. That has it's a big sector where there is like many different type of company, a lot of recycling already happening there. And the other one is in UK, and she compared a bit how the hemp could be reviving in different area. And for doing that, she applied different methodology. She followed a process to get to know a bit the situation and to negotiate also with the local stakeholders what could be done to frame better future intervention. The thesis will be published soon, but for now it's not available. I put the Systemic Design Association link. So all what is related to systemic design, there is also a community that emerged that have a quite good results that you can look at in the website. And the last one, which is also about textile, it's the work of Catherine Hall. Is also a PhD that work on design for recycling knitwear. So in this case, it's super specific. Catherine, she created a brand and around nightwear, recycling nightwear, and she decided to do a PhD to understand better how research industry can work together and to improve their own situation also at in the brand. And she come with really good good knowledge in the thesis and also the model for supporting nightwear recycling that goes beyond just the material, but really have a circular view on the different steps that has to be done, the posture as a researcher or designer to be engaged in this kind of processes. So I recommend you to go on that different resources. And this was a first introduction to understand that there is something to do and something happening in textile and fashion, and that it's a challenge, I think, for all the stakeholders to work together and to align on what needs to be done. Some projects are much more radical, some are mainstream, but transitioning slightly and slowly. So how combining this initiative that we can think it could foster like radical and maybe beautiful scenario that at least can be seen as sometimes utopic, and the mainstream system that also have a lot of initiative and try to solve specific problem regarding the circularity that it's interesting to look at. So you will see that in the project I will describe now, there is this kind of interconnection between the different stakeholders that is happening, and I think it's moving. We are not here to judge the good and the bad, but there is a lot of effort to transition toward a different system in terms of textile and fashion, and it's important to have this look also and to see where our own project and own design intervention is situated among all these different projects. I put some elements here just about some individual research work I have been doing. So just to contextualize a bit as it was mentioned by Josefina at the beginning, I work now at FabLab Barcelona for more than 5 years. Before that, I had 2 experiences that were situated also in the field of textile and fashion. The first one is I did some research action in France, in the Basque country of France, and I put a research article here on the results. It was to explore new business model for circular textile transition. And then after that, I did 1 year in London with different researcher situated at the Center for Circular Design. And I worked in a project named Mistra Future Fashion, where I was exploring a bit the role of how we could design a local ecosystem at regional level in the sector of textile and fashion. So here you have a paper that we co-write that is a small part of the results, and also this infographic that was done at this moment to illustrate a bit the different thought that was happening at this moment. So I'm not going in detail also, but yeah, you can have a look. And there is one project I didn't look at, I will not look at afters, is the project Remix El Barrio. I spent 3 years in the very first year in the Fab Lab of Barcelona to work on Ciscode project and the initiative of Remix El Barrio that was really super intense and super good project to test and apply this Fab City vision to the local neighborhood of Poblenou in Barcelona, and to test what could be done with biomaterials, to work with food waste, and to see how local stakeholder, bar, restaurant can also take part of this kind of experimentation and could also sustain this once the innovation part is being made. So yeah, this part won't be the main subject of the talk, but it's part of also what we did in Remix El Barrio. It's clearly part of the type of approach that we can do, and the type of approach we can do at hyper local scale to foster connection between, well, the citizen, the design community, and people that want to transform the territory toward circularity and better environmental practice. So also inside there is a document. It's just an article, but there is also many information on the web, and I hope and think that you already have been introduced to that. I'm moving a bit ahead with now I would like to just give some information about the different, well, today I call this research ecosystem in the textile and fashion. So for me, it's different network we have been working with that are really active a lot in the area. And first, I will just mention that there is on all the European projects that are happening in textile Horizon program. It's a bit specific, but there is now what we call ecosystem. That is a community of practice that gather all the partners of this project and work together toward better diffusing the results, making synergy between projects. So there is, if you look at ecosystems, you will see a lot of different European projects with all the links and toolkit that have been produced in that in this. You will see some are super ultra technical about recycling processes, about more dyeing procedure. It can be super technical on the value chain of the textile, but there is also that others that are acting at behavioral level, educational level. So all is a bit present, and it's this initiative has been created since well, yeah, last year it became something, but it was created a bit before. And yeah, now there is regular meeting that are happening between the members. Saying that, I will focus now more and go back a bit on also what is much more related to this Fab City vision of what we want for the future and what we call the locally productive system. In the textile field, there is two different networks that work a lot together that I wanted to mention related to the textile lab. So what we call the textile lab. So I will start by the Fabric Academy network. So Fabric Academy, I'm just sharing some information because I think you know already. But so the Fabric Academy program, it's a textile and technology academy that was created in 2017 by Cecilia Responti, Anastasia Pistofidou, and Fiore Basil. So we've decided to do an academy, like the Fab Academy, related to textile. And then there is, so since then, there is different fields that have emerged and practice that emerge on this topic. So you can see the different knowledge pills that the students of Fab Academy have, from having a state of art, going more in the digital with digital body, e-textile, computational culture, wearable textile scaffolds. And after, there is also a lot of focus on sustainable and circular practice or experimental material making practice. There is the circular fashion, the biochrome, the biomaterials, that are also part of this. The open source hardware also module is interesting because it helps to collect knowledge on the different technology that exists to make textile at quite a small scale, and that can be reused in textile lab. So not going too much in detail on what is a textile lab, but it's a place in a city, in a village that experiment with textile and material, that host the Fab Academy program most of the time. And they can do education, they can do prototyping, but they can also produce at micro scale. And they are like this interface for if citizen, designer, textile maker, manufacturer wants to collectively work on such approach to transform the local area in terms of reskilling or doing a new project, innovation research project. There are these places where everything can happen. Yeah, so this is Fab Academy, and I put here like just the updates of this year. The Fab Academy students, they already have shared their project a few months ago. So you can have access in the Facebook also of the page, and there is different things that are happening now. There is the Mexico Fab City Conference with Future Fabrics and Beyond Fashion. And they went also in Armenia in May to have the textile bootcamp. And I share here information about like an extension that we do in Barcelona for the Fab Academy program. And it's part of another European project, is the Future Technology for Sustainable Fashion project. And they do a small exhibition also next week in Barcelona. The program is 2 months after the Fab Academy program. And it's quite interesting because it's questioning a bit what do we do after Fab Academy or after this kind of training. And it comes with a new narrative, and like the partner are a bit different than the one we used to work with. And it's quite interesting to see also to compare different educational design program, and to apply it with new skills, both in like scenario making, but also envisioning really what could be, what different technology can bring to the project of the students. So in any case, if you are interested in this information, you can have a look, and it's continuing. So I think Petra, the Fab Lab Barcelona, can help you with that, or in any case, Anastasia and Cecilia can give you more words. Then it's important also to go back a bit on the history of Textile Lab, and there is what we call TCBL, which correspond to Textile and Clothing Business Lab. So initially, this was a European project that funded different intervention in different textile lab, and create a bit the concept of textile lab with different value, and you can see I put some articles that were created in the project. But now TCBL is also, after the project, they create an association to continue working together. And now they host different community. And we will talk about some just after, but one of them is the She Makes community. It was a project that is related more to um, inclusion in the textile and fashion, stating that at the beginning that when you look at the condition of women in the fashion industry, might be a different gap that we can try to see how together we can tackle, and it was made during the She Makes project. And there is other project, you can look also at their websites. Mainly on this moment, it's about the earwear project that finalized as the final conference last week, and that provide quite interesting content that I also put in the presentation. So beyond the TCBL and the Fabric Academy notes that I didn't check, but here you have the map of the Fabric Academy notes, so you can see where they are, where they are not. So maybe an occasion to also be involved in that. It's the same for the TCBL. You can have access to all the people that create the ecosystem there. I add links here, but I won't go in detail too. It's more about, okay, so we have the textile lab, but they are part of the Fab and Fab City initiative and all the transformation that are happening in our community now. And when you think about how to deal with local manufacturing or circular change at local scale, or if you want to create new design that are more sustainable, you can think and use these different platforms that has been created, including the Fab City OS, the distributed design platform, MakeWorks, that is this open source platform for locally productive city, where when you go inside, there is different type of manufacturer, but there is also, you can find in this textile craft practitioner. So I remember in Barcelona, for instance, we have like leather maker. So it's quite interesting to look at the interview that they have been doing there and to connect with the different sector together. What else? Yeah, this other one, I think you know them. The Internet of Production Alliance is interesting. Open now, it's more like at the product also and material level to have the possibility to replicate and to have similar processes that can be done at different area in different area. Yeah, so interesting to look at that. So this would be like the main stakeholder that really work with the philosophy of the Fab City movements, and also with their own value. They appropriate different initiatives and create their own value, work together and push for a new narrative on the textile and fashion ecosystem, and especially to see how we can relocalize some parts and train people to make again textile and fashion. Then there is other stakeholder and also initiative that are inspiring, that are happening at much more even national scale or global scale. I integrate the example of refashion ecosystem. Refashion ecosystem is situated in France, and it's a collective. It's an organism that bring together all the stakeholder of the textile value chain and about the waste management center. So it's interesting because it's involving the main actor of the circular value chain. Because when we look generally at these graphics on stakeholder in the value chain or the life cycle analysis, we don't see so much the people that are included in also from the resale to the recycling. And in this case, we see that the focus is, for instance, here we see, well, what is the link with the repairer, with the collecting operator, sorting operator, local community for sure. So it's quite interesting to see how they build an ecosystem where everyone has to contribute. And you see at the top the brand that in France there is what will also come and is coming at the European level, the extended producer responsibility. So is the producer who pay for the recycling, the end of life of the product. So either they can pay or they can do some action to facilitate the recycling and to be involved in experimentation related to that. Yeah, I think is interesting as an example. In Spain, I'm talking a lot about Spain and France because it's really like place I have been experimenting with, but I know we can learn from a lot of different places, and it might be great to interact with you on what is the different reality somewhere else. But for instance, in France, they have been doing that for quite a while now, and the sector is quite structured. There is still a big gap, and maybe some radical choice that will be made soon, including the talk a lot about doing some tax about the importation of textile from other places. So this is quite things that are being discussed now, especially on the good way to do it, because it's not as we don't want any collaboration. When we talk about local, it's not that we don't want to collaborate with others. So it's to find the best way for the two territory to value the local resource and to try to also adjust the process in case there is some crisis or some problems. Yes, I continue. So not so close, so far from France, there was also an initiative and a pilot that were done in Amsterdam in what we call the project Reflow. And it was a nice pilot related to circular textile. They came with nice diagram for sure, understanding the diversity of practice also of circular textile. So this is quite interesting to look at when we talk about designing for circularity or for the end of life of textile. There is also all this step to find solution to now, like how the usage can be better, how to when you discard where you go to discard the elements, how you can reduce also the impact in that section, how to collect, how to sort, how to then when you have different when you sort the textile, for now there is a lot to go to exportation and we don't have a lot of traceability of what is happening. There is some parts that are being like redistributed locally. There is some part that are recycled, tiny part that is recycled. And when we talk about recycling, it's about cutting and cleaning, shredding. There is also a possibility to have chemical recycling. And then after we come back on the production side, so we can redo some yarn spinning, and we produce the clothes with the yarn manufacturing, etc. So in this case, they put a lot of focus on the user and also collaboration with reuse and upcycling centers. So it's quite interesting to look at. And I think for Maybe I can just do a small break if you have some question. I will take them now, and then I would like to I have 4 projects to present to you, and we can see after if we stop on one and do a small activity. If you, especially when I'm talking after, if you see that there is one tool that can be useful for your project, we can just stop it and talk a bit about your project to see how we can apply it. So yeah, Daniel, I see you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hello, Marion. It's more like a curiosity related to the place I work, which is a school, and well, we have labs and have people working in labs, and also industry. We have uniforms, so this kind of clothing. I never heard any uh, research specific talking about uniform. So it's uniform is not really fashion; it's more like equipment.
Yeah,
In my sense, in my lack of sense of fashion, the uniform is more like an equipment. But it's also textile, and we don't have that much development for that. We can see like fire brigade has a very specific clothing for fire combat. Okay, but in if you go to other functions that are also operational, I'd say we do teach and have freedom to choose our clothing, but we do maintenance in the equipment as well. We deal with oil and some products. So we should take better care when we wash the clothing. And this kind of information doesn't come with the neither with the clothing, neither with the working position. Like your job description doesn't have warnings about this kind of thing. So when you talk about fashion and the whole uh, opportunities of transformation we have, is there anyone paying attention to the clothes we just wear to work in order to get it done properly? Like I will choose uh, pants with more pockets because it will be handy for me. Okay, so
yeah.
this
Yeah, for
so
sure. There is also in the when you look at the classification of different textile, there is a specific one which is the clothing for technical equipment. So this category includes, of course, it's quite super specific equipment. For instance, for um, medical sector, for firefighter, how we say like this. Yeah. And so this in this sector, there are already some specific requirement for the textile. So when you design them, you produce them, there is already a work that is super specific and also dedicated research and innovation on that. I remember a project that it's quite more at small scale, that it is about one hospital that wanted to try to like do washing of the equipment of the nurse and the doctor, like this white jacket, and they find just a place next that could do this, like the washing, and they improve the technique of washing there. So they organize together. So instead of having one that you throw away all the time, it starts to be a reuse. And this is true that especially in the medical sector, to reduce the one use garment and textile is something that is really hard. So I think it's quite interesting, and I wanted to we didn't work so much, I think, in this environment with the uniform of schools. Maybe in some Fabric Academy project you might have some. But then there is one project that we work, that is the reservist project. So the reservist project, it emerged during the COVID time. So Fabla Barcelona, they work with different stakeholders in the textile ecosystem, more the manufacturer and the people that were doing technical textile, including also there is other type of device, but for instance, the mask, do you name this like textile or not? This is part of all the innovation and tests that has been done in this moment was also part of the project. There was all the medical equipment. There was body bags also that was part of the of this project. And the idea here was about looking a solution for them to to improve the longevity of the textile, to avoid the one-use garments, and what was the most important of the focus of this project was to see how it can be made locally. Now it was, I say, it was during the COVID crisis, so there was this rupture in terms of medical product mask, and there was a wish to and a push to relocalize production if we don't have access to other market. So there was more actor involved in these moments that it could be in general because of there was some lack of provisioning. So yeah, there is in any case we could look maybe a bit later for especially the school context. But for technical equipment, for sure, there is some movements happening. And after what you say, also it's more like what resonates is more the behavior context at the hyper local level. How you can train people and include in the school policy, for instance, to have this kind of interest now when we talk about sustainable school or green school. We integrate a lot of new activity or like sometimes constraints, sometimes just space to change practice. So here it's the textile can be a good way also to look at, because the first idea that I would say about the uniform is if you can, instead of throwing away when there is a patch, you repair it and you do customize your own one. It define a bit. And I remember also in France there is this kind of school of engineering that have this kind of jacket, and they also customize everything, and it's making a new it's really a topic of discussion inside, and they recognize a bit themselves around that. So it's quite interesting to see how the customization, the repair, the upcycling can influence also mobilize, influence, and maybe after also it depends, of course, of we don't want a lot of signal of people. It depends of the context.
This is a personal experience. I have two jackets to work in a fab lab that work customized with different pockets. So I have zero intention to have more than two. Two is good because I can wash one and have the other. Two is good, and I have no intention to have neither more, neither change those. So it's I take good care of those. The standard uniform that school provides is something that people would change for a new one every 2 years, for instance. So it has a different behavior approach. My perception is that, and the other thing is how to take good care of it and not I don't know, spread bad things. Like if it's contaminated, how to neutralize it before washing it, and those things that the clothes can transport, even though you don't want them to be in your clothes, how to deal with that. So that was my concern, and thank you for the attention and the suggestions of for the researchers.
Yeah, it's nice the link that you did with there is this individual level, and there is also okay, what is the practice of the current school, how it can change, or what they can do, what they will do with the textile, the uniform that they will maybe they don't throw away, they already recycle or donate to someone else, or they can the kids can keep it maybe as a memory and transform it themselves at home. And then what I like also is it's of course the functionality and the customization for our personal purpose now. Like I was working also with more a craftsman on the like wood, or even in the Fab Lab, we like having some specific garments with where we can put some tools, etc. So it's super nice to see how it can be made and reshape, and how we can learn to do this also in the lab with other colleagues, and yeah, it's quite good. Okay, so thanks, Daniel. I will. And regarding the chemicals, there is a lot of norm now in textile, and I hope the like what we call the digital product passports, which will be this kind of information you will have about your products, will give us more information about this aspect. So at least you know what is inside and what is the process that is happen in your textile, and that in that sense, after when you know what is inside, you can refer to what you can do after to ever optimize the recycling, the washing, the all of this. And it's coming. There is some solution, and it depends on some garments, but it's true that it's quite a complex matter, especially for the consumer that is a bit lost for now in the practice. So yeah. Okay, let's zoom in on the. So I was talking about reservists, so I will maybe go on the reservist project just a bit more. So as I was saying, reservist project, it was during the COVID time, and it was about creating what we call reservist cells of manufacturing. So it's about creating, okay, we have a crisis, whatever the type of crisis could be. It could be a natural disaster, it could be industrial disaster, it can be pandemic, it could be many different type of crisis. How to improve the resilience of my manufacturing ecosystem, and especially how can I ensure that I can produce things and react enough and in a fast manner to an agile manner to produce some elements that are crucial for living at this moment, either for repairing, restoring the damages of that is created by the crisis, or yeah, for vital needs. For the textile sector in this context, as we said, it was more the medical equipment and also this technical equipment that is needed for the professionals that go on site. And of course, for people that also, in case of natural damages, or people that lose homes, that there is the need of course to use clothes as heating, and also to feel warm in in the way. So there is a possibility to see textile in this size. And what we did, so we have been while writing this book with the different stakeholders of the project, and we work with Vikrant Mishra, who was designer at the Master for Design in Design for Emergent Future, and we revisit what we call the Atlas of Weak Signal to adapt it to dealing with emergency crisis. So the Atlas is working it's a design tool in 4 steps. So first you onboard in emergency crisis. So you will select the type of space of crisis that you have. So as I was saying, there is different cards for different type of crisis. And then you will brainstorm or elicit the reality of such a crisis, and you will identify in this crisis what you need and what type of product service you would like to develop. And once you have selecting that, you go on phase 2 to develop what we call the reservist cell, and in that case would be okay, I want to create a mask, and I need to do it for this situation. So who I would like to involve? And so at the board is really about stakeholder mapping. So you put your project at the middle, and then you add different stakeholders that can contribute to this. And then when you have framed your ecosystem with the product, there will be some alert cards that will also add difficulty for you. And you can see here some different things that can happen in addition to the crisis that can also provoke some needs for reaction, political change, injustice. Oh, this product is not legal. How I deal with that? Supply chain disruption. And the idea here is to brainstorm on how to face this situation together with the different stakeholders identified. And then you have some area of opportunity cards. So this will help you to overcome the situation also and to try to find customized approach to deal with your reservist situation. So this tool is available and described also in this book. Okay. So yeah, it's working again, sorry. Yeah, so here you have more information about the tool, and I put some illustration and the main aspect that is relevant for the talk of today with, for instance, the different collaboration that happened during the project. There was a partner named, for instance, Hospitainer that were doing some like emergency hospital. And he was there to make us understand what is the situation and what are the needs when external people contact them to ask for different type of products. And yeah, it's quite interesting to look at what they have been doing. And there was a lot of design work also with the designer of the distributed design community and the Fab Lab community. So quite interesting to look back and to see what was the conclusion of the project, especially regarding the access to fabrication techniques and production facilities. That yeah, it was quite a struggle to find and to make people work together. This mix between industry and designer and maker was not always easy. So it's quite interesting to be in part of this kind of project, to see also the level of technicity and expertise that is happening in different places, and also the receptivity, the wish, the willing of industry to work with maker of design or design. I'm going back a bit more on the topic of what textile circularity, sustainability. I will go back now on the project She Makes. And in She Makes, as we said a bit before, it was about fostering bottom-up and inclusive research practice, both at local and global level. So it was to merge and to work together between Fabric Academy and TCBL community, and all people curious about transforming and testing new possibility for a woman in the textile industry. So just in terms of result, there was a really nice book, a small book that is describing the result of the project and some reflection of a quite important researcher in the field there. And what I wanted to show you is especially the work that we have been doing in creating what we call the innovation services. So here is to see that as a textile lab or a fab lab, I can I can work in different way for sure. Each lab is different, but there is also a need for structuration and to have a common portfolio of activities. And so it's quite interesting that all the textile lab that were engaged in the project, they align on different value. So to really characterize what make them working together. Then, of course, there is more the characterization. So who is present in the lab, what type of model I have, and what type of activity I will do in the short, medium, long term. And yeah, so in terms of activity, which it's here a bit like it's quite interesting to look at. So we have been identifying 4 different type of activity, all the activity that will relate to how to engage with community, especially in the context of inclusive work environment and equal access to the infrastructure. There is a working group that was about how we do research together, how we do collaboration between different labs. And in this case, we work with a wool project, and that was about circular wool. So I will show you what we have been doing. And then the 2 other one, it's about how to foster business engagement and how to share educational material, what we call the learning path for different age and different type of skills. So there was a lot of material that were created and are accessible, so it can be reused. This toolkit, the tangible operational aspect of the toolkit is available here on Fabricademy Fab Cloud. You can click here, Shimex Open Toolkit. You will see a lot of different places where you can look at what has been done. And now I just want to share a bit more information about what we have been doing in the wool project. So as I said, the idea was to foster the collaboration between the different labs engaged in Shimex, that at the beginning was 6 labs, and after there is 12 new labs that arrived, and we decided to do together a collaborative event. And how we have been structuring the research was by doing 3 different working groups. And here it's really like when we talk about circular design practice at local scale, it's a methodology that I think have a lot of potential. So there was 3 working group. One, it was about place in the sense that where I am situated, what is the characteristic of the local resource, what type of breed, in terms of, when we talk about wool, we talk about the sheep, we talk about the quality of the fiber, we talk about the history of the farmer, we talk about many different specificity of who are the place maker, who is present locally. There was a working group that worked on design, and then the idea was not just to observe and to connect, but to start initiating new practice. And we focused a lot on natural dyeing there, so how we can dye wool with different techniques. And it was all about machines and tools that can help us to process textile, and especially the wool. So how we can card the wool, how we can weave, knit, spin, how once it's woven, how you can also assemble. So we did to share the knowledge that has been creating in this 3 working group. We have been creating an event called the Wool Monday with this nice graphic. Yeah, at the end we did like this kind of map that you don't see well here. where we classify a bit the different infrastructure in the different labs that were there with a typology of stakeholders that were co-defined. And yeah, it's true that we introduced in this project what we call the Little Wool Factory. So the Little Wool Factory was all the work that was done in the what we call the Make working group. And the Little Wool Factories decided to have a database of open access tools and machines that you can use in your lab. And of course, that is open source. There was this reflection about scale and innovation, saying that what we will explore is both what are currently present in the territory, even the industrial machine, because there is different scale of industrial machines that maybe some we can use, or we can collaborate with a manufacturer to do some part of the processing. There is craft and MD tools. There is digital fabrication and new technology. And so we were trying to identify this diversity of tools and try to make some intersection to see locally what could be done if tomorrow you have to process a big quantity of wool, whatever the quality, what kind of process you can have, and which collaboration you can make, so you can really make some product from that. So it was really like we start with the resource, and we see all the path that need to be done to transform the wool. So by doing this investigation, we learned a lot, especially because all of us were not specialized in the textile, in the wool. So we have been doing effort to map the value chain. And then we have a part of this work that also reflect on the end of life and more the circular aspect of the textile and the wool. So as we were saying before, there is a different type of possibility at material, but also social model, like on how we behave to reduce or recycle, and also how we extend the use phase. And yeah, we went back on the thesis I was mentioning at the beginning with different fiber possibility. When it's going back to fiber, what we can do. I won't go in detail here, but yeah, as an example, we also identify some tools for circular making that are not only specialized in textile, for sure. There was the unknitted machine that was really like, yeah, it's a nice invention, but of course it's really at DIY scale. And this project Field is a nice project that was about trying to make some assembled textile. So you shred the textile in some piece, you put it in the machine, and at the end you have a sort of fabrics that is made out of that. And they create the machine to do that. So it was an interesting project that for now I don't know if it's moving on. We could not contact directly the people doing that. So yeah, so related to this project, if you are interested to do this kind of wool or fiber exploration in your own context, there is the toolkit that might be helpful for you. The Shimex toolkit is this one. Yeah, just to click here and go there. And all the lab-to-lab research part is here, and you can have a lot of different content. What I was saying is on the Make one, and you have the Little Wool Factory, where you have, yeah, here. And you can see on the right all the content with carding, rope making, spinning, weaving. Though here a bit more technical knowledge that's what I bring before. Okay. Okay, and so I will finish with two different projects. Okay, so we will go on the Centrino project. I think you might have been familiar with the project because it's a big project for the FabCity ecosystem, especially in Europe. So the project ended recently. and we have been capitalizing a bit on the different results. There is 2 new books that are out. Centrino is about urban regeneration and how to transform old industrial sites into creative, productive hubs. In the project, we have been exploring different aspects, especially how we could create Fab City hubs in a territory. And yeah, I was looking back a bit at the project and see what is the presence of textile in the project. And so it's quite interesting to look at what did the different pilots. And I selected 3 of the pilots, Barcelona, Blanduos, and Milan. So really different also context. In Barcelona, I selected it not because they did so much in the textile in terms of production, but for 2 elements. First, the area they selected, which is the district of Poblenou Sant Martí. They have a past, industrial past that is related to textile. And when you see also the shape, the urban landscape, you have a strong presence of the textile industry, the past textile industry. And then they did a super nice activity during the project that was named Collective XXL Embroidery Installation. So it was a bunch of different women that create a collective to help the design of embroidery installation to claim different messages. It was an open workshop that we co-organized with Fab Lab Barcelona, and that was then creating. It was a big infrastructure, as you see. It was a big embroidery. This is why the XXL. And it took time to do all the different elements. The drawing was selected before. They collect the different yarn. They put it with the different cities, the citizen and people contributing. And then the piece was exhibited during the exhibition that happened last year within the project Centrino. So it's interesting to see also that textile is this kind of practice that it's can be also diffusing some message, and also the way to work textile in a community way can also express different messages and be a way to weave other things than just the yarn, no? Like weaving some what we could call the social bonds in the Centrino project. So the most in Centrino, the project and the pilot that were the most embedded in the textile environment was the Blanduos case. That is, Blanduos is situated in Iceland, and in Iceland there is a lot of wool everywhere, a lot of production of wool. There is a system that is existing, and it wished to be maintained with different activity. They want to also to be transformed. And during Centrino, they have been inaugurating the textile center there. So a place where you experiment with the value chain stakeholder, and you train people both on the practice of current practice of the wool industry, but also that bring the new skills that we said before. There was also the Fab Academy program running there, and they made some collaborations so to work together on reskilling, upscaling, and also trying to find new paths for the textile industry in Blanduos. So here you can go in detail with reading a bit what we call this blueprint per pilots. How to set up a textile cluster. There was nice activity that were done there about this linked and intersection between traditional and digital weaving. Yeah, so quite interesting also. And in Milano, it's the last pilot I have selected. In Milano, so they work on the Circular Milano in a specific area, and they worked with design and textile to map the different stakeholders and to foster synergy between them. So it's it's quite interesting to look at the results of both what they call Milano Circolare and Manifattura di Milano, which is really a map that connects the different stakeholders and give visibility to what is being done and to really foster the synergy that need to be done when we talk about the circular economy. Sorry. Yeah, so to conclude with Centrino, I put some graph of the nice tools that were developed by Metabolic, which we call the Centrino cartography, with example of map that has been done in the blond use context, seeing a bit the value chain. It's very important to visualize now the value chain when we talk about circular system, the flow, the material flow analysis. And the last thing I could explore during the presentation is in Centrino, we have been developing what we call the living archive. And the living archive of Centrino is also a testimony of different local stories that happened during the project, that we're collecting during the project. And you have the possibility to filter by topic, concept, or place. And in the case of textile, there is quite a lot of story related to textile. So same here, I think it's quite interesting to look at the link here, Living Archive Centrino. And if you are interested, you can go to all the different stories. But it questions a lot what is the current perception of textile in this area of pilot that we have been exploring. It's the current practice, past practice, and it's really like this kind of platform we look for when we explore and we want to create, I think, a new project. It's really nice to have such inspiration, and we would like, I think, it's a new form of tourism also, when you go in a place and you can check the different story that in the different sector that could happen, or it's a really nice potential here. So we have 3 minutes, I think, toward the end. The last project I will just mention super briefly. It's the current project that, so this one is not finished. It's a bit slow, sorry. Yeah, here. It's a project named Transitions, Transition Project. So the link of the website is here. And here to wrap up a bit all what we have been saying, there is different stakeholders in this project that look for creating a new curricula of for circular textile, circular and digital textile and fashion. So they have been working, and we are still working on testing what type of content, teaching methodology we can use to foster the new skills that is needed for the transition that are happening. And I just put the link of one tool that is being designed. It's the first version that is present here, but there is already a new version that will be uploaded soon that we call the Lufol Toolkit. And the Lufol Toolkit, what is interesting is that it go with a system approach. So the first thing that you do is to explore your current system, and you ask different aspects of the system. You create a mega rich picture of your system, and then you have a series of cards that come to see how you can, what opportunity you can have, and creating sub projects to explore different aspects. And you can look at I put the card here also because it's all the different concept that is relevant and present, some quite new, some not really right now, as it has been talked a lot, but it gives a big picture of what are the current challenge and current things we can learn to be circular and sustainable in the fashion industry, and maybe beyond, because I think, of course, we create for the fashion industry, but we can also think about many other sector that can be the same type of challenge that they face, for sure. So that's it. So not so much interaction in the meeting, but I think was a lot of content that now you have a lot of resource that you can check if you are curious about the topic. Yeah, just at the end, there is also some tools for circular design that has been put here, especially new ones from the Earware project, where you ask a bit, what is local? If I have a bio-based material to create tomorrow, what type of, what are the principles, the design principle I can use to make them happening in my territory? Yeah, to create some story making about your local place. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we can have one question or two, but otherwise I think it's already time to close the session. So thanks a lot for participating, and yeah, hope to maintain contact with you.
Thank you so much, Marion. Amazing, amazing insights. I don't know if any of you have any questions. We can spend 2 or 3 minutes if anyone has a specific question. Ginger, I've seen you turn off your mic. Are you there? Do you have a question for Marion?
Yeah, I do. Marion, thank you for so many inspiring projects, inspiring research projects. I'm kind of like a follower and fan of all the things that you talk about. One thing that I'm interested in terms of a lot of like the circular fashion projects, how is that permeating the current fashion industry? Or I don't know if that's like the right word, but are those methodologies and practices still in like more like research stage, or are there like brands that have adopted these kind of practices, to be more circular? What are the more kind of, on the deployment and commercial scale, what is the status of that?
Yeah, thanks for your question. What I would say is that, of course, there is brands that are like front runner in the big brand that are front runner in making circularity in their own ecosystem. So you can see there is many new business model with this kind of resale shop or repair shop, upcycling. So this, it's being integrated in many of the big brands, and also because they know that in next year they have to do that. For instance, there is this policy that you cannot burn anymore the clothes that you cannot sell. So of course there is a lot of pressure now I think in the company from the policy that are coming. So there is things that has been done. Of course, you can look at, I don't know, H&M, even Inditex, Nike, Adidas. There is big brands that have really good example and that also have much more mean that maybe other ones on the sector. So they contribute to accelerate the change. Then most of the brand, we need to remind, and I didn't say it a lot, that there is a main thing with the textile and clothing is about reducing now and stopping a bit to produce so much. And this is not really tackled, I think, by the industry. Maybe to facilitate the longevity and to reuse more for sure, but it's still you select a bit what you can do in the context of your business now. And so of course there is some constraint for this big company. What we see is that there is also a lot of constraint from the small and medium enterprise, so they have the same constraint than the big one, but they have more difficulty to access the content or maybe they don't know always how to do it. is a bit like for the transformation on digitalization, sustainability. Sometimes you can see that the industry is not moving so fast, or there is a big part of the industry that is not so agile, and also maybe don't want sometime, or there is like different, of course, realities. And for this, there is this need to support them a lot because of the regulation that are coming. And then after there is, of course, the super radical alternative ecosystem, I think, which we promote a lot, to do this relocalization of activity, and to have like super close community making their own process cloth, that can only be for now at least niche or small scale. But for this person, it's super, there is a lot of gaps, to have means to prototype, to experiment, and to last on the long term. So for me, I don't know, I am now, it has been 10 years, I'm working in those topics. I saw, of course, a major change. The topic is everywhere. People are already also on circular textile. There is a lot of people that already went to some other field. They, whatever they integrated it or not, they will have less interest. And also say, with what we say with all the different words related to sustainability, circularity, that it's important to not to create only word, but to do the actual work. And but yeah, me is what I would say. I see a lot of change. There is a lot of research, a lot of stakeholders involved in the change. After, when you talk with, and you saw the reality, it's not so easy. But for the people who have a new concept, new material, new, like innovative process, I think it's a good moment, because it's what is request now by the, so, and there is people that come to support this change. So it could be, hopefully it depends of the innovation, but it can be a good moment. And for instance, when we look at this bio-based ecosystem, we see that it's slowly being developed. Of course, not all the material are suitable, and there is a lot of certification procedure to access a market. But it's quite interesting to look, for instance, the platform Materium, or all the work that has been done in this project, Earware, that it starts from super basic experimentation, or like kitchen experimentation, and it goes really, it can go really far if you want to have this scale of impact. Because also, I think a lot of people in the community, and when we talk about slow fashion, slow way of doing, making, cooking, we will not try to reach this kind of system again, because we are reproducing and we are locked in the system. So it's interesting to look at the alternative model, and yeah, to try to balance between what's doable and what's not. Yeah, I don't know if it's a clear answer, but it's my feeling, because I'm also a bit at this intersection between working with big institution, education company, but having this activist side since the beginning of this, of how we could together relocalize value chain of textile locally, whatever you are in the planet. So I think it's important that we continue to foster those communities, to exchange different practice, to make things happening. And after, each person will, of course, make their own trajectory, career path. And I do think there is some positive context, at least until now. And if environmental policy is still a priority in the coming month and year, that is also something to debate. Yeah. For the long answer, but
Yeah, thank
thanks.
you. Thank you, Marion.
Thank you, Marion. Thank you, Ginger. Okay, so I think we're running out of time. So thank you, Marion. And either way, this is live in YouTube, so you can all find this recording in our YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Marion. It was great having you. Amazing lecture. And we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.